Scandal in music. Rihanna, the queen of pop, was secretly working on her most personal album when the unthinkable happened. Her art was stolen. Starr, an emerging singer, released a suspiciously similar album that went viral. Plagiarism or coincidence? The trial uncovered betrayals, revenge, and a twist that left everyone speechless. Who won this musical battle? Find out here. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. Rihanna felt the bass hit her chest before recognizing the melody. She was at a friend's party in Los Angeles, surrounded by dim lights and a sea of familiar faces, when the song exploded through the speakers. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her, but as soon as the lyrics began, her blood ran cold. "Diamonds in the dark," she whispered to herself. The same phrase, the same cadence, the same damn melody. The sound of the music became a distant hum. Rihanna couldn't breathe. Someone was singing one of her unreleased compositions. Her stomach clenched as she looked toward the DJ booth and saw the artist's name on the screen. Starr. The murmur around her faded. Rihanna grabbed the arm of Melissa, her best friend and personal assistant. "Who played this song?" she demanded. Her tone was low, but charged with restrained fury. Melissa blinked, surprised. "It's Starr's new single. Everyone is obsessed with it. Isn't it amazing?" Rihanna felt the world spin. Amazing, yes, but for completely different reasons. Back at her penthouse, Rihanna collapsed onto the couch, her iPad in hand. Starr's album, Eclipsed, was everywhere. Full songs, familiar melodies, fragments of her lyrics, tweaked just enough to seem original. But she knew they were hers. Disbelief turned to rage. She opened her chat with her manager, Charles Carter, and typed, "I've been robbed." Less than a minute later, Charles called her. "What are you talking about?" Starr. "Her album." "This isn't inspiration, Charles. It's theft. I want my legal team on this. Now." There was silence on the line before Charles spoke. RIH, filing a lawsuit without solid proof could backfire. "We need to verify that the original files are yours. Dates, records, something irrefutable." Rihanna closed her eyes and pressed her fingers against her temples. She knew that. But the rage was consuming her. "Get whatever you need. I want everyone on this. I'm not letting this slide." An hour later, her hands still trembling, Rihanna opened her Instagram account and searched for Starr. There was no way she would let her get away with this without a confrontation. She typed a private message. "Where did you get that song?" She hit send and waited. Minutes, then an hour. Finally, the indicator showed that Luna had seen the message. But there was no reply. A cold fury spread through Rihanna's body. Luna had left her on red. She wasn't even trying to fake innocence. She grabbed her phone and opened Twitter. Her finger trembled as she typed the words. It didn't matter if Charles said it was risky. It didn't matter if she didn't have all the proof yet. She hit post. "Someone stole my art. This won't go unanswered. Hashtag justice for music." The internet exploded. Rihanna's name became a trend within minutes. Hundreds of fans compared the songs from Eclipsed to unreleased demos leaked years ago on obscure industry forums. Some cried fraud, while others defended Starr, claiming it was a coincidence. But what stood out the most was Luna's silence. No response, no comment. The media quickly joined the scandal. TMZ, Rolling Stone, Billboard. Everyone wanted to cover the story. Speculations multiplied. Was it possible for an emerging star like Luna to have created songs so similar to Rihanna's by accident? Or was there more to it? Then, a music influencer with millions of YouTube followers uploaded a video that changed everything. Theft or coincidence? The Truth About Eclipsed, read the title. The video wasn't just an opinion. Using melody analysis software, it compared Luna's tracks to Rihanna's unreleased compositions. The result was shocking, a 90% match. The structure, chord progressions, even certain vocal nuances. The evidence was so overwhelming that the video's comments flooded with messages demanding justice. If this isn't plagiarism, I don't know what is. Rihanna needs to sue now. Starr just ruined her career. But others weren't convinced. Pop songs always sound alike. Maybe it was a coincidence. Luna deserves a chance to defend herself. And finally, Luna spoke. She appeared on her social media with a brief statement. Direct. To the point. All the songs on Eclipsed were created by my team and me. I have never copied anyone. Any accusations against me are false. The message, instead of calming the waters, only fueled the storm. The comments became even more divided. Rihanna didn't respond. Not yet. But behind the scenes, her team was already in motion. The Billboard Awards were the center of the show that night, but everyone knew the real spectacle was about to happen on the red carpet. Cameras flashed nonstop, capturing every expression, every detail. When Rihanna stepped out of her car, the energy in the air shifted. There wasn't a fan or reporter who wasn't waiting for her encounter with Starr. And then it happened. Luna, dressed in a shimmering silver gown, walked confidently down the carpet, pretending not to notice Rihanna. But when their eyes met, the air seemed to freeze. Rihanna paused for just a second, lifted her chin, and kept walking. Luna looked away, but not before the cameras caught the flicker of discomfort on her face. A reporter seized the moment. Luna, there are many accusations about your album. Did you copy Rihanna? Luna smiled with the same coldness of a snake flicking its tongue. Music is for everyone. I can't control what people think. A murmur swept through the red carpet. The answer wasn't a no, and everyone knew it. Minutes later, Rihanna took her seat at the event, but not for long. During a commercial break, she stood up and left through a side door. She didn't look back. She didn't offer explanations. Shortly after, her Instagram account exploded with a story in white letters on a black background. The truth always comes to light. Thousands of comments flooded the post within seconds. Some claimed it was a warning. Others saw it as confirmation that something big was coming. Did Rihanna have definitive proof? The next morning, the bomb dropped. A paparazzo had obtained exclusive images. In a secluded corner of the event, far from the official cameras, Starr was meeting with Maxwell Black. The photos were clear. Black was speaking while Luna nodded with her arms crossed. In another image, he whispered something in her ear, his expression tense, as if giving instructions. The story took an unexpected turn. Maxwell Black wasn't just any producer. He had a history of controversies, plagiarism lawsuits, and a shady reputation in the industry. What was Luna doing meeting with him right in the middle of a scandal? Was Black the real mastermind behind Eclipsed? Headlines exploded. Conspiracy in music? Starr and her ties to a producer accused of plagiarism. Maxwell Black's dark past. An old enemy of Rihanna behind the theft. The fire was just beginning, and this time, it seemed there would be no escape for Starr. Rihanna swiped her finger across her phone screen. A message with no sender had arrived in her inbox. If you proceed with the lawsuit, secrets from your private life could come to light. A chill ran down her spine. She looked around, as if she could identify the sender just by scanning the shadows of her luxurious penthouse. She knew this could happen, but reading it made it real. This wasn't paranoia. Someone was watching her. She called her head of security immediately. In less than an hour, Her team had reinforced surveillance at every access point to her home and traced the origin of the message, without success. It could have been sent from a private network, one of the technicians explained. Without a court order, tracking it will be almost impossible. Her lawyer was clear. She had to report the threat. If you let this slide, it will escalate. You can't allow them to intimidate you, he warned, frowning. But RIHANNA refused. Reporting it meant drawing attention, giving them power over her. Instead, she ordered her security to be doubled and any suspicious movement to be reported immediately. She wouldn't attend events without protection. No one would get close to her without passing through her security team first. If someone thinks they can scare me, they're wrong, she declared. But deep inside, she knew the war was only beginning. 2 days later, her personal assistant found an envelope in her dressing room. No sender, no postmark, just her name written in black letters. When she opened it, her blood ran cold. Inside were photographs of her in different moments of her private life, at home, with friends, with family. Images that no one else should have. Beneath the photos, a note. This is only the beginning. RIHANNA clenched her fists. Someone had crossed the line. This was no longer just a case of plagiarism. It was personal. And if they thought they could make her back down, they were dead wrong. RIHANNA woke up to the sound of her phone vibrating on her nightstand. It was a call from her lawyer. He's gone, he said without preamble. Who? RIHANNA asked, sitting up in bed. Anthony Graves, the sound engineer. He was supposed to meet with us this morning, but no one knows where he is. His phone is off, his apartment is empty. RIHANNA felt a chill run down her spine. Graves was a key piece in her case. His testimony could be what finally brought down Starr and Maxwell Black. Do we know anything else? She asked, getting out of bed and turning on the light. There are rumors that someone bribed or threatened him, but nothing concrete. No one has seen him since last night. RIHANNA closed her eyes. This wasn't just a coincidence. Her team had to find him before it was too late. RIHANNA's legal team wasted no time. Within hours, her lawyer secured a warrant to review the security cameras from the last place Graves had been seen, a subterranean parking lot in downtown Los Angeles. When they played the footage, the tension in the room rose. The recording showed Graves walking toward his car. Just before getting in, 2 men dressed in black approached him. One of them said something. Graves stopped. The other man opened the door of a black car parked a few meters away. Without hesitation, Graves got into the vehicle. The car started and vanished from sight. The plates are blurred, said the security technician. RIHANNA leaned toward the screen. Can we enhance them? The technician shook his head. I'll try, but I can't promise anything. This was deliberate. They knew exactly how to avoid the cameras. RIHANNA's anger grew with each passing second. This wasn't just another game in the music industry. This was something bigger. Someone was trying to silence Graves, and they were succeeding. Hours later, Graves' brother received a message from an unknown number. It was short, precise, and terrifying. Stop looking for him. He's safe. He won't testify. When RIHANNA read the message, her stomach turned. This was a warning, not just for Graves, but for her as well. They want us to back down, said her lawyer, holding the phone. I won't, RIHANNA replied. Her team fell silent. So what do we do? Her head of security asked. We find Graves, and we find those responsible. Her lawyer stared at her. We'll have to move outside official channels. If these people have the power to make a witness disappear, they can manipulate the police. RIHANNA took a deep breath. Then let's hire the best private investigators out there. And let's find him before it's too late. The leak of the surveillance video exploded on the internet like a bomb. It was a grainy, low-quality clip captured from a security camera in the recording studio. In it, a hooded man could be seen manipulating the computer where Rihanna's files were stored. With precise movements, he inserted a USB device and began transferring data. Then, without hesitation, he removed it and disappeared into the darkness. The face was impossible to distinguish. The poor lighting and low resolution prevented any clear identification. But one detail fueled Rihanna and her team's desperation. The thief knew exactly what he was looking for. "This wasn't a random attack," murmured Rihanna, watching the video on her laptop. Within hours, social media was ablaze with theories. Some said the intruder was a former employee. Others claimed it was a competitor in the industry. But without concrete evidence, everything remained speculation. That's when Rihanna decided to change the rules of the game. Through a statement on her social media, she announced a significant reward for anyone who could provide information about the identity of the man in the video. The strategy worked immediately. Messages began flooding her team, most with useless leads, until one stood out. It was from a former studio employee, someone who had worked there until recently. He didn't reveal his name, but his message was clear. That person is from the industry. They're not an amateur, and I know something that could help. Rihanna's team wasted no time and arranged a meeting at a discreet cafe in Los Angeles. The informant arrived wearing a cap and sunglasses, nervous. He refused to give personal details, but left them with a crucial piece of information. The intruder had experience in music production and wasn't a stranger to recording studios. He's not a rookie. He knew exactly which files to extract, how to access them without triggering alarms. And there's something else. I think there might be an identifiable trait on him, but I'm not sure. Rihanna leaned over the table, frowning. "What trait?" The man hesitated and then replied in a low voice. "A tattoo. I think on the wrist. I saw something when he moved his hand in the video. But the image is too blurry." That was the next step. Rihanna contacted a team of video analysis experts to enhance the quality of the recording. After several hours of work, they managed to refine the image enough to confirm what the informant had said. On the screen, a dark shape appeared on the intruder's left wrist. It wasn't completely clear, but it had the shape of a circular design with lines extending in different directions. Rihanna's heart pounded. Now they had something, a real clue, something that could lead them to him. "Find every producer and sound technician with a similar tattoo," she ordered. The hunt had just begun. The camera blinks with a red light. The studio is silent. Rihanna takes a deep breath before starting the interview, but she can't hide the tension in her eyes. The journalist asks her how she feels seeing her music in someone else's hands. Her jaw tightens. She tries to respond firmly, but her voice cracks. "It's like they ripped a part of me away," she says. "I spent years creating something unique, and now—" Her voice fades. She blinks quickly, but the tears are already there, betraying her live in front of millions of people. Social media explodes. Rihanna crying on television becomes the image of the day. #Justice for Rihanna starts trending, but critics emerge as well. Some accuse her of playing the victim. Others claim the trial is just a marketing strategy. The pressure becomes unbearable. Her team makes a decision, a total pause. They cancel interviews, public appearances, and any contact with the press. Rihanna needs time to pull herself together, but her silence only fuels more rumors. People say she's depressed, that she has abandoned the case, that her team is forcing her to step back. Paparazzi linger outside her house. Every absence from social media is interpreted as a sign of defeat. Then Hollywood reacts. Celebrities from the music and film industries flood the internet with messages of support. Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Adele, even actors like Leonardo DiCaprio and Zendaya join in. Their posts carry a clear message. The industry must protect art. Hashtag Justice for Rihanna turns into a movement. The narrative shifts. Now, it's not just Rihanna versus Starr. It's Rihanna versus a system that allows creativity to be stolen. The media pressure redirects. Starr and her team begin to feel the weight of public opinion. The battle isn't over yet, but the scales are starting to tip. The courtroom was silent when the news leaked. Starr had filed a countersuit for defamation. In a live-streamed press conference, her lawyer took the microphone with confidence. Rihanna can't handle the competition. She refuses to accept that a new artist can shine on her own. This lawsuit is nothing more than an attempt to destroy my client's career, he declared firmly. The headlines exploded. The case had taken an unexpected turn. From being the victim, Rihanna was now being portrayed as the villain. Social media became even more divided. Some believed Luna was just desperate, while others thought Rihanna was truly trying to overshadow a rising star. Within Rihanna's legal team, the tension was palpable. They needed to discredit the countersuit before it gained more traction. For hours, they combed through every document, every file, every email. Here it is, one of the lawyers said, holding up a report. Certified composition records of Rihanna, dated months before the release of Eclipsed. This proves that Luna couldn't have created these songs first. It was a key piece of evidence. Immediately, they prepared their legal response. The next day, her team submitted the documentation to the court. An official statement was sent to the press. The facts don't lie. Rihanna's songs were registered long before Starr even entered the studio. This countersuit is a desperate attempt to manipulate the narrative, the document declared. However, the biggest bombshell was yet to explode. An independent firm of musical experts had conducted a comparative analysis of the songs. The final report was devastating for Starr. The melodic structures were practically identical. The chords, the progressions, the harmonies, everything matched with an insignificant margin of error. There was no room for coincidences or parallel inspiration. The document was scheduled to be presented in court at the next hearing. But someone leaked the report early. Within hours, the media had published it. Conclusive evidence confirms that Starr copied Rihanna's songs. The news spread across the world. Social media exploded. The hashtag Justice for Rihanna became a trending topic once again. The pressure on Luna intensified. Rihanna watched from her home in silence. She knew the battle wasn't over yet, but at that moment, the truth was on her side. Journalist Ethan Graves reviewed the leaked documents he had obtained for the 10th time. There was no doubt Maxwell Black was funding Starr's defense. Bank transfers, records of private meetings, encrypted messages. Everything pointed to a secret connection between the disgraced producer and the rising star. But something was still missing, evidence directly linking him to the theft of Rihanna's songs. Graves needed more. He knew Maxwell didn't work alone. His next move was to contact a former collaborator of the producer, someone who had worked in the shadows with him for years. After several calls and a discreet meeting at a Los Angeles cafe, he got the man to talk. Maxwell has always had a formula for launching stars, said the informant, constantly looking around. He finds someone with potential and molds them, but not from scratch. He takes what already exists, modifies it, and sells it as if it were new. Graves pulled out his recorder. Are you saying he's done this before? The man nodded, but then shook his head. I can't say more. It's already dangerous that we're talking. You don't know what Maxwell is capable of. If more people knew what he does, he wouldn't have power over anyone, insisted Graves. The informant stood up abruptly. "No more questions. This is already too much." Before he could leave, Graves slid his card across the table. "If you decide to talk, you know how to reach me." Hours later, Graves received an anonymous email with an attached document. When he opened it, his heart raced. Maxwell Black had been transferring large sums of money to an account in a tax haven. The account was linked to one of Luna Starr's lawyers. It was too suspicious to be a coincidence. He knew what he had to do. Now he not only had an explosive article, but also the key to connecting the final pieces. But Maxwell wasn't going to let himself be caught easily. And Graves knew that better than anyone. Luna Starr's interview was supposed to be an opportunity to clean up her image. Her team had negotiated every question with surgical precision, avoiding any direct mention of the trial. However, nothing could prepare them for what was about to happen. In the final seconds of the broadcast, just when they thought everything was under control, Luna leaned toward her team. Her microphone was still on. No one noticed. "Relax, guys," she murmured, fixing her hair. "We knew those songs weren't mine." Maxwell said it. No one can prove it. The comment went unnoticed in the studio. But in another corner of the world, a user with sharp ears quickly uploaded the audio clip to social media. It only took a few minutes for it to go viral. The hashtag #LunaNew exploded on Twitter. News outlets relentlessly replicated the scandal. Luna's defense, which until now had been based on denying everything, was crumbling. Her public relations team tried to put out the fire with ambiguous statements, but the public pressure was relentless. The next day, Luna woke up to 1 million notifications on her phone, each one worse than the last. Celebrities, journalists, and former collaborators commented on the leak, some with outrage, others with disdain. But the worst came a few hours later. Rihanna broke her silence. Not with a statement, not with a press conference. A simple Instagram post with a leaked audio and a direct caption, "Lies have short legs." The post exploded. Millions of plays in minutes. The condemnation was unanimous. Songwriters, artists, and producers in the industry took sides. Luna Starr was no longer the promise of pop. She was a fraud exposed to the world. In her team, panic was absolute. Her manager showed her the reports. Her songs had disappeared from several playlists. Sponsors were reconsidering contracts. The public's trust was crumbling. Luna couldn't move without being attacked on social media, in interviews, even on the street. The truth, which she had tried so hard to avoid, had caught up to her. And this time, there was no escape. The courtroom was silent when the doors burst open. A tall, thin man with disheveled hair and trembling hands walked down the aisle. Some recognized him instantly. Nathan Greer, former assistant to Maxwell Black. The judge adjusted his glasses and looked at him intently. "Mr. Greer, I understand you have relevant information for this case. Proceed." Nathan took a deep breath. "I was there from the beginning. Maxwell planned all of this. He knew Rihanna had unreleased material and found a way to get it. He asked me to track her sessions in the Bahamas. When he found the weak link in her team, he knew exactly how to apply pressure. He paid, manipulated, threatened. Luna never wrote a single line. She just followed orders." A murmur spread through the room. Luna's defense shifted in their seats. Rihanna watched with a frown. Maxwell's lawyer immediately stood up. "Objection. This testimony has no proof." The judge narrowed his eyes. "We'll determine that. I order an immediate review of Mr. Black's financial records, as well as his connection to the defendant." Maxwell crossed his arms and shook his head. "This is ridiculous. There's no evidence, just a resentful former employee looking for revenge." Nathan clenched his fists. "Really? Because I have copies of transfers, emails, and recorded calls where you give direct instructions on how to do it without leaving a trace. The prosecutor smiled. We'll make sure to verify them. The judge motioned for them to continue. Very well. In the meantime, the court will proceed with the review of the evidence. Luna's defense rushed to discredit Nathan. This man was fired for inappropriate conduct. His testimony is unreliable. But the documents spoke for themselves. Every piece of evidence matched his account. Every transfer, every message. Everything pointed to Maxwell Black. The case was shifting, and they knew it. Luna Starr felt her phone vibrate in the pocket of her jacket just as she was about to enter the courtroom. Her heart skipped a beat. She knew she shouldn't look, but curiosity was stronger. With trembling hands, she pulled out the device and read the message on the screen. If you open your mouth against me, I'll make sure you never sing again. Say goodbye to your career. Say goodbye to everything. M. Black. The world around her seemed to blur. The threat was clear. Maxwell Black had always been ruthless, and now he was making it clear that he wouldn't hesitate to destroy her if she spoke. For weeks, she had rehearsed her statement with her lawyers, but now, standing before the courtroom door, doubt settled in her chest like an icy dagger. Miss Starr, it's your turn, a court officer said. With leaden legs, she walked to the stand. She felt the judge's gaze on her, the jury's expectant eyes, and most of all, RIHANNA's, who watched her with a mixture of fury and disappointment. Her lawyer asked the first question. Miss Starr, can you tell the court who orchestrated the leak of RIHANNA's files? Luna opened her mouth, but the words wouldn't come out. Black's message echoed in her head. She thought about what she would lose if she spoke. But then she thought about the truth. She thought about the months of lies, the guilt that had consumed her every night. She thought about how Maxwell had used her as nothing more than a pawn. She took a deep breath. It was Maxwell Black, she said, her voice barely a whisper. The murmur in the room was immediate. Camera flashes went off. Luna felt the air grow heavier. Her lawyer nodded, giving her space to continue. I knew the songs weren't mine, she continued, her voice breaking. But Maxwell convinced me that no one would ever find out. He told me RIHANNA would never release the album on time. He said the world forgets artists if they take too long. He promised me this was my chance to shine, and I believe him. The prosecutor immediately stood up. Did Maxwell Black provide you with RIHANNA's files? Luna nodded. He sent them to me. He told me they were gifts. That with them, I could make history. That no one would question me if I acted with confidence. The murmurs grew louder. RIHANNA didn't take her eyes off her, but her expression had changed. Now she looked surprised. The judge banged the gavel. Order in the court. Maxwell Black, from his seat, leaned toward his lawyer and whispered something. Luna could feel his gaze stabbing into her like a knife. But she no longer cared. She had told the truth. Whatever came next, she would face it. When her testimony ended, she left the courtroom through the back door, accompanied by her legal team. But outside, another reality awaited her. The air was thick with shouting. A crowd greeted her with signs and recording cell phones. Her most loyal fans shouted words of support, but many others hurled insults. Thief, fraud, opportunist. A man threw a cup of coffee that landed just inches from her feet. Her lawyer grabbed her arm. Come on, don't stop. Luna kept walking, but with every step, she felt herself sinking deeper into the abyss. The truth had come to light, but that didn't mean everyone would forgive her. Maxwell Black had used her, yes. But she had also made the choice to go along with the lie. The price of truth was high, and now she would have to pay it. Luna Starr was sure the storm had passed. She had told her version, shed tears on the stand, and taken responsibility for her part in the story. Her lawyer had assured her that there were still chances to soften the sentence, perhaps even walk away without serious charges. But when the judge allowed the prosecution to present new evidence, everything changed in an instant. Luna's lawyer, Michael O'Connor, stood up with a grave expression. He took a deep breath before speaking. "Your Honor, on behalf of my client, I present these documents in support of her cooperation with justice." Luna's heart stopped. She had no idea what her own lawyer was doing. Emails, text messages, and audio recordings appeared on the courtroom screens, each one more damning than the last. In them, Luna was directly discussing with Maxwell Black how to handle the leak, what to say if they were caught, and how to shift the blame. "There's no turning back, Maxwell. Rihanna is already suspicious." Her own voice was heard in one of the recordings. "If this blows up, we'll say it was a coincidence. No one will know where the songs really came from." The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Luna felt the weight of the stares on her. She couldn't deny anything. It was her voice, her words. Her confession on the stand had seemed sincere, but now everyone knew she had been lying from the start. The prosecutor wasted no time. "Mr. O'Connor, are you confirming that your client has decided to cooperate with justice?" "That's correct," her lawyer replied calmly. "Miss Starr has decided to fully cooperate to clarify the truth and ensure that all responsible parties face the consequences." Luna couldn't speak. She didn't understand what was happening. Fully cooperate. The phrase sounded like a death sentence for her career. She hadn't discussed this with her lawyer. But there it was, displayed before the world as a co-conspirator from the very beginning. At the defense table, Maxwell Black's lawyers exchanged tense glances. They knew what this meant. If Luna was cooperating, Maxwell had lost his best shield. The judge turned to the prosecution. "Based on this new evidence, the court finds it necessary to summon Maxwell Black to testify." "Your Honor, Black's defense requests more time to evaluate the evidence and prepare an appropriate response." His lawyer, Veronica Heller, intervened. The judge shook his head. "I don't find that necessary. Maxwell Black must appear before this court within 48 hours. Maxwell, who until that moment had maintained an impassive posture, clenched his fists. Luna saw the fury in his eyes. She knew what that meant. If he went down, he would make sure to take her down with him. When the session ended, reporters crowded at the courthouse exit. Luna tried to avoid them, but it was impossible. Cameras captured every expression on her face, every movement of her trembling lips. "Luna," one shouted, "did you betray Maxwell Black to save yourself? Have you been lying this whole time? Do you regret stealing Rihanna's songs?" She didn't answer. She walked quickly toward the car, waiting for her. But before the door closed, she managed to see Maxwell on the other side of the street. He smiled at her. It wasn't a kind smile. It was a warning. The trial was not over yet, and Luna had just made the worst enemy possible. The silence in the courtroom was unbearable. Luna Starr stared at the judge, her knuckles white from clenching her hands on the table. Rihanna kept her gaze forward, holding her breath. Then, the judge spoke the words that would define the case. The court rules in favor of the plaintiff, Robin Rihanna Fenty. The defendant, Luna Starr, is found liable for misappropriation and fraudulent use of copyrighted material. An uproar of voices erupted in the room. Luna squeezed her eyes shut as the audience reacted. Rihanna, with a tense but composed expression, received the verdict without moving. She knew the war wasn't over yet. Outside, chaos broke loose. Fans of both artists had crowded the courthouse surroundings, some holding signs in support of Rihanna, others defending Luna Starr. When the young singer emerged from the building, the shouting was deafening. "Thief! Fraud! Give Rihanna her music back!" Luna's bodyguards immediately surrounded her, pushing her toward an armored SUV. The camera flashes blinded her. The boos echoed in her ears. She got into the vehicle without saying a single word. Rihanna came out next, wearing dark sunglasses and a controlled smile. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Justice for music. We love you, Riri. Phoenix is more alive than ever. Rihanna raised a hand in gratitude and left without making any statements. Social media exploded. In less than an hour, her Instagram post had amassed millions of likes. Truth always wins. Thank you to everyone who believed in me. Hashtag Justice for Music. On Twitter, her message broke engagement records. The media analyzed every word, every reaction. Rihanna had not only won the trial, but she had also reaffirmed her dominance in the industry. Meanwhile, Starr became the target of the press. Every move she made was followed by a horde of paparazzi hungry for scandal. Her team attempted to mitigate the damage with an official statement. Luna will be taking an indefinite break from music to reflect and find peace away from the public eye. But few believed it was only a temporary retreat. The image of Starr, once the brightest promise of pop, was crumbling. Her face appeared on every cover with cruel headlines. Luna's Great Fall, from stardom to oblivion. How a lie destroyed her career. The industry had already given its verdict. Starr sits in front of the camera, her hands clasped on her lap. The dim light softens her features, but doesn't hide the weight of the scandal on her face. The journalist across from her adjusts his notes, but Luna doesn't wait for the first question. They used me, she says firmly. Maxwell Black manipulated every move I made. The words land like a hammer blow. The video is broadcast live, and within minutes, social media explodes. Luna details how Black convinced her it was her big opportunity, that Rihanna didn't deserve those songs, that the world needed to hear her voice at any cost. She admits she learned the truth too late, when she was already trapped in a lie. The interview becomes a global trend. Views reach astronomical numbers in record time. Some see her as a victim. Others believe she's trying to clean up her image to save what's left of her career. The comments are a mix of outrage, mockery, and skepticism. Too late, Luna, write hundreds of users. Justice has already spoken. Meanwhile, Rihanna remains silent. Her team ignores every interview request, every question about Luna. If this story moved you, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss more inspiring content. Share this video with friends and family who need to see stories that challenge perspectives and leave an indelible mark. Explore our channel to discover stories that inspire and transform. Until the next video, there are no statements, no hints on social media. Instead, Rihanna moves forward with her music. Phoenix stays at the top of the charts, and her latest live performance is hailed as the best of her career. The media tries to get a reaction from her, but Rihanna leaves no room for drama. Her impeccable stance only reinforces what the public already believes. She is the true artist, the one who never needed dirty games to shine. And while Luna struggles to rebuild her reputation, Rihanna simply moves on, leaving the scandal behind without looking back.